Hello everyone, Sharon Huang here. Today I wanted to talk with you about cardio, which is something that gets your blood going and your heart rate going for women, because I think for the most part we have been taught that to maintain a certain physique or look, you have to work out minimum of 3 times a week, 4 times a week, doing something that causes you to be breathless. And it's hard, it's not easy, and you've got to hold this kind of steady state of aerobic exercise for at least 20, 30, 40 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. And, the hard thing is that this type of exercise can be hard on your body and your joints, especially in midlife. When I turned 50, I started having a lot of knee pain, and just walking for an hour really affected my knees. So running became completely something that was off the table unless I did short sprints. And even then I really need to watch my knees. So it's really fascinating that a lot of women, a lot of the top influencers in this space of talking about fitness for women in midlife are talking about doing sprint interval training, commonly known as SIT, so S-I-T. And the thing I love about sprint interval training is that it's focused on very short bursts of high intensity exercise. And it's kind of like, if you've ever done Orange Theory, it's like going all out for 30 seconds to really rev up your heart rate, and then resting for a couple of minutes to bring your heart rate down. And you do this, 4 to 5 times in mini kind of sprint 30-second intervals. Actually, a lot of them say you only need to do it twice a week to maintain just general health. And I have embraced this new way of working out, and I've really enjoyed it. My new workout routine is I lift weights 3 times a week for about an hour. And then I do the sprint interval training twice a week I usually try to do 6 sets of 30 seconds each. And I like to mix it up. So for example, my most recent SIT training I did yesterday, I did 4 sets of the fan bike, which is this bike that is super hard. It only has 1 gear, and you can really elevate your heart rate really quickly using the fan bike. So I did 30 seconds of all out on the fan bike. I took probably about a 2-minute break in between, did another 30 seconds, another 2-minute break, another 30 seconds, 2-minute break, and then another 30 seconds. Now, after about 4 intervals, I was totally done, but I still wanted to get in some jumping, because one thing that they're saying is that women, starting in their 40s should start jumping at least 20 to 50 times a day. And jumping is skipping, jumping rope, box jumping, anything that gives you some type of pounding, even if it's gentle pounding, will help with your bone density. So in addition to the 4 30-second fan bike intervals I did, I also then, following it, did 4 sets of 30 seconds of just box jumps. And box jumps, I'm literally just jumping up and down for 30 seconds. And I did take box jumps don't raise my heart rate as much. I probably could go a little bit faster. But I probably did maybe a minute break in between and then went into the next set. So that was a longer SIT training. Normally I'm fine with just 4 intervals, 4 to 5 intervals, but sometimes if I'm feeling energetic, I'll do a few more. And especially if I mix up the activity, I find that it helps me do a longer SIT session. But yeah, I'm only doing it twice a week. Sometimes I'll tack it on to the end of my weightlifting sessions, but I will say I get really tired if I do that. So I like to do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do my weightlifting, and then I like to do my SIT interval training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I get a mix of different things. And then on the weekends, I definitely do a full rest day on Saturday. If I'm hiking or doing something active on Saturday, then I actually will not do sit or do a very short version of sit. So I do get a rest day, because what I've learned is that rest days are really important, especially for women in midlife. Resting in general, sleeping is hugely important when it comes to your health and fitness and actually being able to lose weight. Who would have thought that we would be encouraged to actually take rest days, to not overtrain, and to make sure that you prioritize sleep? Like, all of this is so different from American culture and what we've been taught. But I will say that I have been so happy with my new routine. My body feels great. I feel great after my weightlifting sessions. And I definitely feel like my body composition is changing. I did a 6-week shred program, which I did a whole video about, and I got great results. And so now I'm in kind of just maintenance. I'm just trying to maintain the weight I lost. And I'm trying to just level things out. I'm also hoping that during maintenance, I'm not necessarily losing weight, but I'm hoping that I'm gaining more muscle and losing some fat, and that my body is slowly being recompositioned, because I'm hoping to get a DEXA scan I've probably been doing my workout routine now for a solid 6 months. So I'm hoping to do another DEXA scan in about another 6 months. So at a year mark, I can really see, hopefully, that this new exercise protocol has been paying off. So let's just go back to, well, what is sprint interval training, if you're curious? And I've been working out to Hailey Happens Fitness. She's a wonderful master. I don't know if she's a master personal trainer, but she certainly knows her stuff. And she sends out a weekly email newsletter. And in one of her recent newsletters, she talked about exercising in the gray zone. And she talks about zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, and zone 5 cardio. I am not going to talk about all of them. I'm going to give a quick, brief overview, but I will definitely link to her blog post in the comments. So if you want to read more about it and get more detailed, then feel free. But ultimately, zone 1 is essentially walking, hiking, doing something at a very leisurely pace where you can have a conversation with someone. It could be light yoga, something that you're just moving your body very gently and you're able to talk to someone with no problem having a conversation. Zone 2 is moderate intensity exercise. So this is where you start getting a little bit more breathless, a little bit more labored. You might be doing more of a power yoga. You might be doing a power walk. You might be rowing or lifting. So you're doing something a little bit more strenuous, where it gets a little bit harder to talk. And then zone 3 is more intense exercise. So this is where you definitely can't hold a conversation. You're definitely focused. You're trail running. You're doing some sprints, doing burpees. You're basically doing something that is challenging for sure. And then zone 5, which a lot of times they clump into zones 4 and 5, is just really that kind of all out, like you're doing all out exertion at a certain activity, whether that be biking, running, burpees, box jumps, anything. You're going all out. You're basically doing it till exertion. But the good news with the sprint interval training is you're only doing it for 30 seconds. So you burn out really quickly, but then you get to rest, which is lovely. So basically it's been showing that, doing this kind of zone 4 and zone 5 cardio has a ton of health benefits, even when you do them for short amounts of time, towards your longevity. So I personally love it because I think it fits my lifestyle really well. I am certainly not the type that is a major athlete. I would say that throughout my adult life, I've consistently exercised like 3 to 4 times a week. And I've, in my time, done a half marathon. I've done a sprint triathlon, but it's not something that I necessarily love and that I want to spend hours a day training. I have really enjoyed my weightlifting sessions, and I really build them into my calendar, and I try really hard not to miss those sessions because I feel like it makes a big difference in how I feel. So I like to call what Dr. Vonda Wright, she's an influencer doctor in this space, she calls herself a mere mortal athlete, which I love that term, and I would call myself that also. Like, I enjoy life, I enjoy exercising, but not for several hours a day. I can handle 3 to 4 times a week for an hour. I like to go hiking. I like to play pickleball. So I like to do kind of other things in addition to just solely working out. So I love this term of the mere mortal athlete, which is what I would definitely call myself. So yes, I hope that this helps you to kind of change up your workout routine, and I'd be really curious to hear how your body responds and how you feel, and if you do feel like you're able to actually cut back on your cardio instead of doing these kind of 20-30 minute intense sustained cardio sessions, instead moving to these sprint interval training sessions, and see how you feel and see how your body changes. I also wanted to just do some examples because everyone is always like, well, what do you do for sprint interval training? And I do like to mix it up. The fan bike is certainly the easiest. I have a fan bike in our basement. And when my husband got it, he got it off of like Facebook Marketplace or somewhere. I was like, I'm never going to ride that. But now with the sprint interval training, I ride it almost once a week. I jump on it. It's super quick. I can do my 3 or 4 30-second sessions and be done. But I also like using, when I go to my gym, I like using the battle ropes. So I like to use the battle ropes for that. I also like to do box jumps. I like to jump rope. I also like to do ball throws. Ball slams, I think is what it's called. We used to slam a ball to the ground. And I do that at my gym. I don't do that in my basement. If I don't have access to my gym or I'm pressed for time, I like to do burpees. I also will do mountain climbers. So there's a lot of things you could do with just body weight squats. So there's a lot of things that you can do without any type of extra equipment, which it's great because then it's like, it's hard to make up excuses. It's like, let's just get in, get it done. Know that you're doing something great for your body, and then go on with your life, which is awesome. So this type of sprint interval training really works well, I think, for all of us. And I was listening to another influencer talking about what she calls an exercise snack. So ideally you get like 4 to 5 of these 30-second bursts throughout the day or in one session. And if you find you're pressed for time, do an exercise break. And she does it for like a minute long. She'll do body weight squats as a break, an exercise kind of snack break. So, I think that is totally doable and a great way to just start incorporating some sprint interval training into your life and into your daily life. So I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks so much.